Welcome back to She Say Sports. This is Sonia, and this week we will continue our series on social media and the mental effects it has on athletes. Last week we got with a coach's perspective as we talked to Coach Eric Struthers. He's a Tougaloo's men's coach. This week we will talk with Michael Dangerfield. Welcome to She Say Sports, Michael.
Hey, how's it going, Sonia?
It's going pretty well. How are you today?
Very well, very well. Thanks for asking.
Good. Thank you for joining us today. And, just to let the listeners know a little bit about yourself, why don't you tell us something about you?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Michael Dangerfield. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I'm a young African-American male, so I do want people to know that Black therapy does exist.
That's true.
So I've only been licensed for a little under a year, but I've been in the mental health profession for, 10, 15 plus years. Okay. So I'm very passionate about therapy and people doing better. And I have my own private practice, which is called All In Wellness and Therapy.
All In Therapy and Wellness, okay? You're out of Houston, correct?
Yes. I live in the Houston area. And I provide services out in the Bel Air area, actually, and telehealth services as well. So,
okay.
Remote video services.
Great. Okay, good deal. So, we'll get started. When we take a look at athletes and social media, either during or after their sports career, athletes can really benefit from using social media to self-market, build personal brand, and promote themselves. Athletes can thank fans, give glimpses into their lives, and generally have positive conversations with their fans to build goodwill. So with that being said, Mike, is there a playbook that athletes can use of potential do's and don'ts for athletes on social media?
That's a good question, Sonia. I wouldn't say there's a comprehensive playbook as athletes are used to having to be able to, definitively look at every play and know the ins and outs. But there's a lot of resources that are out there. It's probably good for any athlete, true athlete, to have some type of PR rep or something like that. But because social media is ever evolving, it's just good to make sure that athletes stay up to date with social media etiquette, and that's probably best presented through social media itself or being online. So staying abreast of the social media platforms and the do's and don'ts in terms of probably just watching what other people do and, paying attention so that they don't fall into some of the same pitfalls, but that they take advantage of some of the benefits as well.
Gotcha. And I guess probably kind of, just watching what they say or, what they post and, recordings and stuff. So, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And, sometimes athletes, because in their very nature, they appreciate admiration that comes to acting with fans. Do you think that could possibly be a pitfall to this interaction?
Absolutely. So social media gives people an opportunity to, kind of create this image and stay behind the scenes. And not actually have to be visibly present. So with that said, sometimes because a person is not directly, like maybe, in front of a camera at an event, but, maybe just behind their phones or, somewhere recording something, it's easier to probably act in a way that they might not act if they were actually in the public in presence of other people, be on their P's and Q's. So, right. Very easy for a person, to get comfortable in their environment, and they're being, maybe live stream or, sharing their stuff on social media, and then say something or do something that they might not otherwise do if they were actually, in the presence of, a lot of people in the public. So it's always a risk. Yeah, it's always a risk.
And speaking of risk, do you think should they respond to critiques from a game, whether good or bad?
I think if the athlete is maybe has been coached, in knowing how to respond appropriately to the public, I think it's a good thing. Well-educated athletes, should be able to use and exercise their voices in that way. However, we have some athletes who are more, very talented, but more raw when it comes to communicating with the public. They probably should be very careful because at any given time, anything can be taken out of context, regardless of whether the intent was good or not. So.
And that kind of, I'll bring up what I talked with Coach Struthers on last week regarding Jermaine Whitehead. I don't know if you know, but he was released from the Denver Broncos last month because of the critique he made. Well, he was getting critiqued by fans via Twitter, and he hadn't even left the locker room, and he, tweeted that he would kill them and gave his address, and it got really, really ugly to the point where Twitter actually suspended his account before he even left the locker room. And, of course, he was released the following day. So, yeah, like you say, some of our emotional fueled players have to really take it, be careful with that because
absolutely.
You can, you see, anything can happen. And like you said, it's just, you should be able to take critique, but some really can't. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Athletes usually can be their truest selves with their teammates. Maybe in a locker room, they can vent and share their frustrations. But with technology the way it is, Sonia, and everything being recorded at any given time, like you really have to be careful of the things that you're saying and doing, just because you can't even say you never know who's watching, because really everybody's watching seemingly all the time for these athletes. So
that's true. That is true. And speaking of watching, sometimes athletes use their platform for good, like, promoting charities and, different things in the community, which is a good thing. Well, I think it's a good thing. Do you think it's a good thing for athletes to use social media to promote different charities and, events?
I believe it is, for the most part. Now, I will say this. Athletes who are really just trying to get themselves out there, it might not be such a good platform, just because, people can spot a person who's genuine or not, a mile away. So if you have an athlete who's out there, who's, representing PETA or, PCA or, just some things that they're not really associated with. I think the fans will find out sooner or later and call their bluff. But for the most part, there's some good things going on out there that some people might not otherwise know about, unless somebody who's a public figure who everybody recognizes, for the most part, is out there kind of advocating for. So I think it's good if it's organic to the person. But if you have somebody whose sports and I guess their characteristics and personality doesn't even match, the things that they're out there promoting, then it could probably do more harm than good for their image, honestly.
And and what you just said, brings me to J.J. Watt. He plays the Houston Texans, and in some circles, his personality seems phony because he does a lot of charities. And some people are, I've heard say, he's phony or it's not real. He's just trying to be at everything to oversaturate social media so he can always be present. Or some people, really think he's doing some great things for the community. Could he possibly be what you just described?
Yeah, it's a great possibility, Sonia, that he is that way. I don't know him personally. I like him as a player. Some people you like as players, you're like, okay, I love them for the tenacity they bring to the game, not so much for them being in Kroger's commercials and Pampers commercials and Coca-Cola. We want to see you play football. And if these things are like organic to JJ, then it's cool. Like I said, I don't know him personally. I don't know if he really is 100% behind a lot of the different things that he's kind of advocating for or he's endorsed by. But yeah, the thing about people, Sonia, is they're going to hate you or love you either way. You know, you don't want to give them an opportunity to, take shots at you for doing something that's not even, relevant to who you are as a person or what you do. So
that's true.
That's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and that's actually true. And sometimes even with that, doing stuff in the community, sometimes athletes want to let their fans in too much of their lives with social media. How much is too much? Should they keep something to themselves, or I guess I don't know. I'll let you answer.
Yeah. That's a really good question, Sonia. How much is too much? I think it depends on the person. Kind of like what we were just saying a little while ago. If it's organic for the person to be this kind of boisterous, kind of flamboyant, kind of in your face, jokester type person who's all out, and it's natural for them to be that kind of way, as long as they are able to deal with the scrutiny when they maybe step overboard and do something that they should not do or say something they should not say. But for a person who is modest, for a person who is really family oriented and all that, they probably should limit their, social media presence. A good example is probably somebody like Steph Curry. I guess it was last season when all the stuff came out, about his wife and Yeah. And so Steph Curry has always been this clean cut kind of, positive image person. And, you don't expect him to get on social media and, just acting out in a way that seems like he's trying to lash out for, somebody coming at him negatively. You don't expect that. You don't expect him to have the bad boy persona or to be the one that's drawing the women around him,
Right.
But you take somebody like, I don't know, Dwight Howard back in the day, or, Dennis Rodman or somebody, you expect a certain type of following from those people. You just get the idea that that's who they are, and it's natural.
Exactly.
So, again, it depends on the person, who they are.
And when you brought up Steph Curry and even
Aisha.
when the stuff happened with Aisha, he of course he defended her, but he was very professional. It was not out of character for him, and I appreciate him, stepping up and defending his wife. Also, Dwayne Wade, one of his sons, his 11-year-old son, from my understanding, is homosexual. And he, during the holidays, I guess he had on nails or something, and, people were, coming at the child. First of all, he's a child.
Right.
You may not agree with their lifestyle. That's not for you to agree with, However, Dwayne, he defended his child, as he should have. And he was professional, wasn't, no cursing or nothing, but I appreciate what he did in that situation, So I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Had it been like Rasheed Wallace or somebody back in the day.
Matt Barnes.
Yeah, there you go. You might expect something a little different.
I follow him. He, of course, we all know Matt is very edgy, and he's going to do whatever is on his mind, and, so I can't, fault him for that. But, yeah, somebody like Matt, it would have been a whole totally different story.
Right.
So, it would have been really, even one more person, J.R. Smith. You heard what happened?
Oh. No, what happened recently with J.R. Smith?
Well, there are allegations that he hurt his wife. She got on social media, went live, and she spoke about him and his mistress. And she prayed for him and his mistress. So on live social media. So sometimes even not even the athlete, but, family, and I don't, like I said, it's alleged. So I'm not really certain if that's true, but from my understanding, his only response was, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." So, that I think that's going to be getting a little crazy for the next few weeks. I really don't think people should air out their relationship problems on social media, but I guess she felt like he embarrassed her in public, so she would pray for them in public. I don't know.
And Sonia, you make a good point in saying that. Like 20 years ago, social media wasn't as prevalent, and technology wasn't making everything so on demand and everybody being so accessible. You almost have some control over that kind of stuff. But now everybody at the click of
live
an app or something on their phone in their prison can just stream everything for the world to see.
That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's bananas, and it can be for some very good things, but stuff like that, and it's. I don't think that's a good idea, and you will regret it, I'm sure. At one point in time. So
you're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm. And so speaking of that, we've really kind of covered that. I was going to ask a question. Can athletes learn from social media influencers like Kim Kardashian or Beyonce, Cardi B? It can be good or bad.
Yeah, I believe so. I think you made a good point just a little while ago when you talked about J.R. Smith. Sometimes there's some things that you should just not respond to. Good, bad, or otherwise. I think Beyonce is one of those people, who people take shots at her. People say what they're going to say, and you always see her, above board. She's not going to acknowledge it. She's not going to go back and forth with people. And even if somebody got something negative to say, it's almost like most people won't even believe what the person is saying that's saying something negative, because just the way Beyonce carries herself, So that's a lesson that a lot of athletes, could take that. You don't need to respond to everything that's said. You can watch and learn from other people and how they respond on how to stay poised, because athletes are role models. But you can also, look at some of the other players and or some of the other social media influencers and see how they have, rose to fame or how they were maybe at top, and then before too long they fizzled out because of something they said or did, or one false move they made in the presence of a lot of people on social media. So there's a lot to learn.
Yeah,
for better or for worse.
It is a lot to learn. And you brought you mentioned Beyonce. Even they've talked about her child in the past. She never responded, and I think a lot of people think when you're quiet that's weak, but that's strength. When you can just let it go. I mean, because either you're not. Sometimes when we respond, either you're not sure, you're insecure of what's going on, or or that there's a sense of weakness. And so she may say stuff, I'm sure. She may curse and, cut up about what they say about her child behind closed doors, but she has never, ever responded to anything that they have said about her child. And that says a lot about her character. And
absolutely.
It just she posts about stuff her new retail and concerts, and then she moves on, and that's it.
Right.
So, and I think that's what it really should be about.
Yeah, I agree. And that might just be an example, Sonia, of people who came up in an age where you actually had to interact with people face to face. True social interaction. You learn those things. You learn that somebody might test you, and you don't always have to respond. Sometimes it's the silence, that saves them and you. But in this social media age, it's like, you're hiding behind a screen or somebody says something and, you got to respond because it doesn't seem real or whatever the case is. And before too long, it's a big mess.
That's true. Even the Bible says a soft answer turns away wrath. So
absolutely,
a soft answer to sometimes just being quiet.
I'm with you. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. So from a mental health perspective, is social media for an athlete even necessary?
Is it necessary? I won't say it is, but there's, as with anything, Sonia, there's pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that loving how a lot of athletes are coming out, especially for us men folk, because men, we're not really talking about mental health, or we're not really talking at all.
Right.
But a lot of athletes are getting behind the idea of mental health and why it's important to to know that, man, even as superstar athletes, they're human, and they have challenges, trauma, all kind of different things that they deal with, anxiety, and so social media is an excellent platform for them to be able to reach out and kind of communicate in a more personal way, not just on the TV screen or whatever, but in a more personal way, but with the fans. On the flip side of it, as you said earlier, with some athletes, J.R. Smith and probably even Dwight Howard and plenty of others in the past, something comes up on social media and it cannot be that great of an image for them. It could, unfortunately, can be devastating for some people. In their cases, maybe they don't necessarily need it, but if they're using it for the right way, it can be a great tool. Advertising, marketing, pushing brands, and informing people, in a not so formal way, but in a way that it'll register to people. It can be a good thing, but again, it can be a bad thing.
I totally agree, and especially, like when you mentioned
Michael, you said this woman, Michael Phelps?
Yeah, David.
Yes.
And, he has a commercial out about, he dealt with some mental illness. Mm-hmm. And it's, like you said, it's very important for, to use your fame to help somebody. So, social media, like it can be a good thing in that way where you can, it's a lot of people on social media, millions that it'll reach for one. But secondly, a lot of people have mental challenges.
Absolutely.
They may not know it, or depression, whatever. And he had depression, not a mental issue. Michael Phelps said he had depression. So,
which is a mental health issue.
Well, you're right. It deals with your mental. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, ma'am. You're right.
So, it's definitely a good thing for causes like that, and to get people to talk, and especially the Black community, because we really don't talk about mental illnesses. Either they tell us, and I do agree with this, pray, talk to God, however God put psychotherapists and doctors on this earth to help us.
Preach, Sonia, preach.
And we can remember it goes hand in hand. It's a balance. And
absolutely.
So, sometimes we hurt ourselves more if we don't go get the help. And so, that's off the subject, but I just needed to give that little 2 cents.
Yeah. And I was going to say, look, whenever you're ready to have that conversation, we can do multiple segments on that, because I am an advocate.
That's a good idea.
I am an advocate for it. I think it's great. I'm the type of person that, like, as much as I like to play ball, like I'm past the age of, any scouts come and look at me. So my hoop dreams, they're gone. It's all good. I'm not upset about that. But I will say, I will say that I'm all for these athletes pushing mental health. Like, I'm out in these streets and I'm on social media trying to find a way to reach out, especially to men folk, to say, come on, let's have this conversation. So, if, Michael Phelps and, Dwayne Wade and Kevin Love and whoever else can go out there and make that conversation easier, then I'm like, awesome, let's get it.
Go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think, it'll come to that place where, I really think it's happening now. Even with all the craziness that social media can bring, conversations like that have come up a lot. Even, Jada Pinkett Smith, she talks about it on the Red Table Talk on some of her shows. So,
that's true.
Again, millions of people are being reached. So I'm thinking conversation is happening and people are actually now listening. So
that's good.
That's a good thing. And I hope that athletes, can use social media as an amazing platform to not only help but to build communities, their brands, interact with the fans in healthy ways and just live, positive lives. Will it happen all the time? No. But that's what I hope. So,
yeah, you and me both. I mean, naturally they're role models, so why not use that platform, for good?
Exactly.
Why not use that platform for good? Yeah.
And not just for likes and followers. So we shall see. But I'm not going to hold you any long. Thank you so much, Michael, for talking with me. And
absolutely.
You have any big plans for Christmas?
I do not. I think we're going to probably do a quick turnaround to Louisiana. I have a lot of family in Louisiana.
Okay.
But then again, our girls are excited about Disney, so it'll be a quick pit stop. Yeah, for New Year's.
Oh, nice! Bringing 2020 in.
Yeah.
Good way. Okay.
Yeah. How about you? Any plans?
No, not really. I'm tomorrow actually I'm headed to Celebration Bowl this weekend. I gotta cover the game. So
awesome.
I'll be in Atlanta December 21st for the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Celebration Bowl between Alcorn State University and North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
And so that's
sounds like
exciting.
fun.
Yeah, it starts at noon. I'm sorry, I'm giving a little plug on ABC. So you guys make sure you watch. And, just support SWAC, MEAC, HBCU sports, and I'm really excited because this is my first Celebration Bowl, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, cool.
Again, I won't hold you any longer, so thank you so much, Mike, and have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't talk to you before the New Year.
Yes, ma'am. You as well. Miss Sonia, you enjoy. All right?
Okay. Thank you. All right. We will be back on next week with the third part series of this amazing topic, social media and the mental effect it has on athletes. I'll be speaking probably with either an athlete or an entertainer because it's kind of hand in hand. They have the same issues on, dealing with social media and the same pros and cons. So we will see. But until then, please go share, like my page, She Say Sports on Facebook, as well as She Say Sports 23 on Instagram. Until then, this is Sonia with She Say Sports.